Okay, guys. Somebody asked me to watch this video here by Amir Adam. I hope I'm saying that right. I really hope I am. And it's called My Concerns with the LGBTQ Community. So I'm sure it'll be interesting. There does seem to be a lot of a disproportionately high amount of conversation surrounding LGBTQ people. You know, I understand people have more traditional values, so that it might make them uncomfortable. I understand that we're all a society. We should have conversations about different things. But what I will say is if you look at this, you take a little step back, this seems to be the only thing that more conservative-leaning content creators will make, and this seems to be the only topic that Republicans will talk about. There doesn't seem to be any real robust conversation about poverty, child poverty, welfare state in a way, because we need to reform that. Anything. Healthcare. Seems like Republicans are just saying no to progressive solutions instead of coming up with their own. And so part of this comes off as like a general obsession with like LGBTQ people. So I just want people to understand that. It does seem to be like pretty big. And let's start the video.
Is going on. We've got kids at pride parades performing drag and transitioning. We've got trans adults dominating sports, drag queens and Blue's Clues, and an endless amount of pronouns.
Okay.
Something needs to be said.
Okay.
Here are my concerns.
Well, let's just be clear. A lot of people are saying it, but okay. Yeah.
What's up, everybody? Today, we'll be talking all about the gay community.
All right.
Specifically, we'll be talking about my concerns with the LGBTQ community. Because things are going to...
Just so you know, like a lot of like kids going to drag shows and stuff, really weird, especially kids participating. Absolutely. Not a big fan of that. But this... I know a lot of gay people. Most gay people don't care about this. I just want you guys to know. Most gay people are just like, okay. Like, you know, most gay people don't think it's appropriate either. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't say the problem with the LGBTQ community. I would just say like it's a problem we need to talk about.
Getting a little bit out of hand. Maybe not a little bit, a lot of it. It's getting out of hand, and truth be told, the gay community does not speak on my behalf. Why should what I do in private automatically define my worldview, politics, and culture?
He like watches sports for fun. That's not gay.
How come if
That's
someone's
gay.
gay, they have to be a part?
Hey, listen, if you're watching other men tackle each other and play with each other's balls, there's nothing wrong with that, but that might be a little gay. Might be a little gay.
Of the gay community, they're automatically thrown in this box of everything quote unquote gay. But if you're straight, you're just straight. All of a sudden, if you're gay, you're thrown in this little box of talk like this, act like this, love the drag queens, love the rainbows. It's uncalled for. Why should what I do behind closed doors have to define my entire worldview? Okay. Being black is merely just a part of me. Okay. Being gay is merely just a part of me. But first, I'm a mirror. That's my identity. That's how
I could have swore he said he's a mirror, but his name is Amir. Okay, my bad.
My personality is defined. It's a mirror. And
okay.
far too often,
I respect that.
I'm seeing people, especially the younger generation, come out as gay and feel like they have to be the stereotype. They feel like they have to change their voice. They have to wear the rainbows. They have to like the dragons. They have to hop on Grindr. And that shouldn't be the case. I'm an individual with my own thoughts and my own mind. And so are you. No one should be allowing any characteristic of themselves to identify their entire world, their entire being.
Well, let me just tell you something. Okay, with the voice, I could swear that and this is a real question I have, because every single gay guy I know had the voice. They all have the voice. And I wonder, is it an act, or is it like something biological about having that voice with the little bit of like the lisp, right? And I have a family member who's gay, and I remember when he was young, I said to my, you know, his dad, I said, hey, he's gay. And his dad was just like, oh, whatever makes him happy. I don't really care. God bless, by the way. But I could tell when they were like 7, you know? And it's like, what is up with the voice? Is it just a community? People are just like, let's just start doing this voice. Or there's got to be something biological about it, right? Like, I don't know. It's just interesting. Interesting phenomenon, you know what I mean? It's just bizarre. It's Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson does not have the voice. He doesn't have a feminine voice. It's a lisp. It's different. Stop. Don't insult Mike Tyson. I don't need him coming here and beating me up, okay? I don't want to get hurt. You guys got to stop with that. Okay, he'll beat me up if you say that again. So stop doing that.
Because truth be told, and again, I mean this with the utmost respect, this community that's like equality and love and acceptance and diversity is a bunch of copy and paste clones. Because the second you have someone that has a different point of view, that operates differently, you shun them down. Why is that?
Yeah, I can see that. Like on the online sphere, that happens. In real life, nobody really does that. Like nobody really does that in the real world. But in like online, like yeah, it's like an identity politics game for sure. I could see that as an issue. For sure.
I don't understand it. I don't know why all of a sudden, just because what someone does behind closed doors, they have to subscribe to this entire idea and this entire being when that shouldn't be the case. My next concern, which is this idea that anyone who disagrees with anything gay, they're automatically homophobic. We should be allowed to voice our opinion without being scared of being called transphobic, homophobic, whatever it may be. There's a strong difference between someone disagreeing with gay people versus being homophobic. You can disagree with gay people all day long. You can not like what they do all day long. But as long as you treat me with respect, as long as you're not scared of me, you're shunning me away, you're not homophobic in my book. As a grown adult, you have the right to your own opinion and your own values. I don't care what you think. I do care if you're trying to stop me from progressing and you're not and trying to make sure I'm not seen as equal as you. I care about that. Context matters. And typically when someone says they don't like gay people, they're really referring to not liking the gay community and the gay culture.
No, I disagree with that. Most of the time when people are saying that they don't like gay people, it's because they like legitimately don't like gay people. Like, okay, listen, there are some things, like, I guess I wouldn't even call it the gay community. Like, I think that, like, sexualization in Pride is, like, inappropriate. Pride is supposed to be about celebrating things like Stonewall and, like, LGBTQ heroes, people who have, during times where, like, if you were publicly gay, you would get hurt, who still did anyway, brave individuals. It's supposed to be about honoring them. It's not supposed to be about, like, it's basically, like, this big capitalist structure where they sell, like, alcohol and all this other crazy stuff, and that's like a problem that like I have, but that wouldn't make me not like gay people unless I would subscribe to the idea that all gay people are the same, which is a little ironic because he's saying like, hey, gay people aren't a monolith. I agree. But when people say I don't like gay people because of one aspect of it, you're making gay people a monolith. So when you say you don't like gay people, you are being homophobic. I just want you to know. Because you've decided not to separate some of the things that may be wrong, like any other community, right? Because straight guys, they like sports. I hate straight people. No. You're not separating it. You're making them an entire monolith, right? So, like, yeah, it is homophobic to say you don't. And most people who say they don't like gay people are like homophobic. They might have more traditional religious values, and I understand that. But like those values will say like gay people shouldn't have equal rights, which is what you're saying when you say gay people shouldn't get married. It's a separation of church and state. You can say like you could believe it under God that God's not going to, give him the blessing, but they should be able to get legally married. When you fight against these things and when you're not able to separate things like church and state, like, yeah, you're being homophobic. I believe, guys. Okay? I believe.
Not that individual. They don't care what that individual does in private, but they care about all the things that are happening within the gay culture and the gay community. That's what they don't like. There's a lot of gay people who feel the same way. There's a lot of gay people who don't subscribe and do not like the LGBTQ plus community because of how harsh they are and all the things that are currently going on in our nation. If
That's
someone asked me in passing, Amir, do you support the gay community? I would say no. In 2023, no. To the extent that
I would say yes. Again, like you're generalizing all annoying online people. It's usually like 14-year-olds on Twitter, by the way. You're generalizing it and making it seem like those are the LGBTQ community. Most gay people are just trying to work, bro. Like it's like that's the problem. Is this video's like I don't like generalizing. I agree, but then you're gonna generalize. It's like okay, well then I can't agree with that because now you're just generalizing. Most gay people don't like some of the obnoxious shit, but like every community has stuff like that. Like, but it's even not that obnoxious. You know what I mean? So, I'm just saying, bro. I'd say most gay people aren't like big fans of the sexualization at parades. They probably just don't go because of it. Which I've heard gay people say to me before, because I know so many gay people. I go to the gay bars frequently because they're also very nice to me. They hit on me. They say I'm very attractive. So, hey, nothing wrong with free compliments and drinks. Am I right? If the girls can play the game, why can't I?
I want to see that.
What's up, Table?
As an equal to straight people in this nation and have the same rights, yes, I support those efforts. When it comes to this entire other agenda, this entire other sphere, extension.
An agenda makes it seem like there's a calculated plan, and I don't like that type of language. This is where we're going to problem. There's no agenda. Okay, let me just be clear. Like an agenda is like a list of items to be discussed at a formal meeting. That's the official term, but people will say like the gay agenda. Like there's this active thing to like insert gayness in like a really weird way, or maybe I'm over assigning. But I've heard so many people talk about how there's like an LGBTQ conspiracy to like fucking feminize men, when the bigger problem is that we don't have fathers in the lives of their children. And like when I hear agenda, I get like, okay, it kind of feels like we're supporting that narrative. Maybe I'm just being like, maybe I'm wrong about the overassignment of it, but that's where I get. I'm like, okay, it's not an agenda. There's no agenda happening. It's just gay people. And like anybody else, sometimes every social movement has gone too far. It's a good movement that sometimes goes too far. Fat acceptance, same thing. It's just about don't bully fat people, and you should love yourself enough to change. And now, there's some bad parts of everything, right? But there's no magical agenda. That's what I wanted to say.
Of the LGBTQ plus community, I disagree with it. We went from fighting for the right for marriage to now allowing kids to transition.
Just to be clear, that fight was still going on less than a year ago, right? When they overturned Roe v. Wade, conservatives were very open about how they wanted to overturn. I forget what the Supreme Court case was, but the Supreme Court case that said that gay people should be able to get married, and so thankfully that was codified, right? By they codified that. The Democrats did, but it's like still very real. I saw people like Ted Cruz talk about how like, well, trying to pretend to be reasonable. Well, I think it should just be state's choice whether we follow the Constitution, right? Like, well, fucking, because separation of church and state, like one of the most fundamental aspects of our country. So it's not like these issues are gone. Just saying.
I don't get it. I genuinely don't get it. I do get it because not a lot of people are speaking up about it, which is frustrating in its own.
Well, I think everybody is, but okay.
Sphere. But all of this is just driving me up a wall. My next concern with the LGBTQ community is how everything is grouped together. The LGB has nothing to do with the TQ+. They need to be split up. They need to be their own groups, their own nonprofits, their own movement.
This is not a bad point. He's just like, it is a little bizarre that we combine gay people and trans people because one is about your sexual orientation, one is about your gender identity. And I don't really see it as a huge problem that they're all merged together, but I could see that claim because it's a lot under one blanket, so I get that. I understand that. I can understand that because it's different. It is a different thing. So I can understand that part, but
all the progress that's been made,
we should just made it. We shouldn't even have lesbian or bisexual. It's just be gay. Oh, what are you? I'm kind of gay. Bisexual. I'm very gay. Gay. I'm gay when I'm drunk. Gay. I don't know. Whatever. You get my point. Just gay, trans, GT. Which gets into another conversation though, because then there's trans people with gender dysphoria and without, and then it's a lot of complicated stuff. But I understand that take. I don't think that we need to change it, but I could see why it would be, maybe it would be less confusing. But
to make everyone equal and gay acceptance, I feel like it's being washed away because of how radical the TQ+ side of things has become.
It's not that radical.
The root word of sexuality is sex. There's male and there's female, and the main difference between the two is a penis and a vagina. That's it. The only reason someone's gay is because they like the same sex. The only reason someone's bisexual is because they like both sexes. The only reason
I'm assuming this person isn't really on board with trans people in general. Listen, there is a difference between gender and sex. Gender is more of the sex of the brain, right? It's a separation of mind and body, right? We have 7 million people, God did me dirty by giving me a small dick. Sometimes God makes people dirty by not giving them a dick at all. I understand that. Makes sense to me. I can understand that. Non-binary is still something that's like a little, interesting to me. I kind of get it. To me, it's like intersex of the brain. We have an intersex of the body. It makes sense that there is an intersex of the brain. Obviously it's a little easier to validate people who have gender dysphoria because it makes more sense because something that's diagnosed. But yeah, definitely separation of gender and sex. So
someone straight is because they only like the opposite sex. Penis, vagina, that's it. Full stop. That's what it means to be gay. That's what it means to be straight. That's what it means to be bisexual.
I don't know. Listen, let me tell you something. Because this is what I'm getting out of what he's saying. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me just replay it.
There's female, and the main difference between the two is a penis and a vagina. That's it. The only reason someone's gay is because they like the same sex.
Listen, here's what I'm saying. Wait, I can't show that whole thing. Okay, I want to get banned there. If I like this, I think that would be gay. This is biologically a female. Okay? This is a trans man. I think it might be gay if I wanted to fuck that. Because it is. That's a man. as a trans man, as a man, might be gay. I don't think it's as simple as penis vagina. Okay? Let me just tell you something. All right. Ain't no gay man wanting to date this person. Trans woman. All right. So we can separate genitals from everything else. I'm just telling let's see. If you're straight, who would you rather sleep with? You tell me right now. You're a straight guy. Who are you sleeping with? Answer the question. It's Bailey J. I recommend moving on from that. I'm just saying, it's more than just your genitals.
The only reason someone's bisexual is because they like both sexes. The only reason someone's straight is because they only like the opposite sex. Penis, vagina.
Thank God words can change. As a society that's always fluctuating, we can, alter definitions of different things to be more accommodating, right? So just something to keep in mind.
That's it. Full stop. That's what it means to be gay. That's what it means to be straight. That's what it means to be bisexual. And now you have the TQ plus, which is all expression, being lumped into what it means to be gay, straight, or like at the end of the day, the trans, the non-binaries, the they, thems, all that, you still only like one or two or both things. And there's a real issue that's happening now regarding trans people and gays and lesbians.
Shit, I forgot the
trans people are erasing what it means to be gay and to be a lesbian. Because
what? Now that just how is it erasing what it means to be gay or lesbian? What?
I'm gay based off of sex. I'm gay because I'm a male that likes males.
Okay. Well, I imagine you wouldn't want to fuck Bailey J. But we just showed you who that was. Probably be more attracted to Buck Angel. Now you might have a genital preference. Nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying. You know what I mean? It's a little more complicated than just the genitals. That's all I'm saying. Okay.
Lesbians are females who like females. Again, we're going back. This is like I feel like I'm explaining such a simple concept, but for some reason it's gotten so misconstrued. Sexuality, root word sex, okay. Male, female, penis, vagina. Now we live in this world where we're saying trans women are women and trans men are men. Okay, let's pause here.
Yeah. I agree.
If we're saying trans men are men,
I agree.
And trans men, they're not just men. We're saying trans men because they're transitioning from one gender to another.
Well, no, they're not. Some of them have already transitioned, but yeah, they're trans. Yeah, they're still men. Cis men, trans men, they're men. They're different, of course, but they're generally men. There's going to be areas where we have to have the conversation about like what's different when it comes to sports, doctors, or dating. Right? I understand why you may not want to date a trans woman or a trans man. Makes perfect sense. But outside of that, none of that other shit matters. Trans men are men. Trans women are women. Like I keep saying, like maybe let's focus more on this. Maybe we should focus on fathers not being real men by not being in their kids' lives before we focus on like whether a trans woman or a trans man is a man. You know what I mean? Like we that's a bigger crisis. I think it's okay.
A trans man is now a man.
Yeah.
What does that make me?
A man?
Because I don't want the body part that a trans man has, and that doesn't make me transphobic.
No, it makes you cisgender.
I'm really relying on science and the actual definition of what it means to be a gay man.
Okay.
I only like the male genitalia.
Okay, that's cool.
So by telling me that I need to accept that someone who is trying to be another gender, they are that gender?
They are, yeah.
They are that sex? No.
Yeah.
That's literally erasing what it means to be gay. If you're
No, it's not. It's really not that deep. First of all, your whole beginning of your video is about how you're a mirror, right? I'm saying that right? So you're going on a whole tangent about how being gay is not their primary definition of who you are, which I agree with. But now you're making it seem like this is an affront to your entire identity because trans men exist. So maybe you're the one playing identity politics. Right? But like, yeah, I mean, you just don't have to have a preference for all men. I don't know if you guys know this. I would actually not fuck all girls in the world. Okay? I don't like Italians. No. Like everybody has a preference. You got a penis preference. That's fine. You know? It is what it is. I could understand you looking at like a person and maybe they're not as passable and you might be like, okay, I can see why you may not want to date them. I get it. Right? But they're just trying to live their authentic self. It's not that big of a deal.
Telling people trans women are women.
Yeah, for sure.
And at this point in age in 2023, to be trans doesn't even mean you need to have a surgery. You can just say you are trans and that's that.
That's a different conversation. Like it is, I will say that like, I still don't get, like, listen, I understand that point. That is a reasonable point. I don't think that that's a fundamentally transphobic point, But I will say that, like, if let's say I see like a guy, so we're gonna bring up the Christmas tree. We're bringing another Christmas tree, guys. All right, it's a trans Christmas tree. We got boop bop beep. Hey, it's not big enough. Wait, we gotta use the spacing that I have in the video, right? So here we have your sex, right? You got your pronouns at the top. You got your gender identity, and you got your gender expression. Now, for Papa Gut, easy enough. I'm a man. I identify as a man. I express myself as a man based on, society's concept of what it is to be a man, which is socially constructed generally. I'm sure there are biological factors too, and then the pronouns are man, he, him, right? Okay. Now, if I see somebody who maybe they're a biological girl, let's say, and they identify as a man, okay, and they want to use male pronouns, okay, but they express themselves as a girl, that doesn't make sense to me, because what does it mean to you to identify as a man if you're not exchanging your expression? Because if I feel like your expression is the problem, it's like I am not, like, I don't feel like a man, or I don't feel like a woman, so I am going to identify as a man. Okay, but then why wouldn't you express that way? That I understand, because that doesn't make any sense. It's illogical, right? But like, let's say that you're like, you're a girl, you're an AFAB, assigned female at birth, and you identify as a man, and you're expressing as a man, and you use male pronouns. Like, that makes sense to me, right? There's a logic there. Maybe you were born in a way where, like, maybe your brain isn't matching your body. I get it. Maybe that's not quite 100%, but I get it. That I understand. I think there's a lot of young people maybe exploring their gender, and some people trending. And that's confuddling the conversation. I totally get it. But that's a separate issue from that's just like an internal issue, a conversation we need to have. That's different from like all trans people are bad. You know what I mean? By the way, all that I think that matters is if your penis gets hard, I'm gonna plant it in your backyard. You know what I'm saying? That's all I have to say. That's what I live by. Who cares? Who gives a darn?
What does it mean for a lesbian, a biological woman, to go on a date with a trans woman? That you're telling me a trans woman is a woman.
Okay.
That lesbian does not want male genitalia. It's making me feel crazy. Like, how the hell am I transphobic now by not wanting to be with a trans man?
Well, you're not. Nobody's actually saying. Well, okay, there's very few people saying that. Let's be real. Like, that is obnoxious. There are some people saying it's transphobic because you might not want to be with a trans man. I get that. That could be a problem. But generally speaking, like, yeah, there's a conversation about genital preference. Like, that's pretty much all it comes down to. Not that big of a deal. It's a bigger deal. I'm getting fucking doo-dooed on in this fight. I don't have the patience for this. Oh, Wes, I do.
Well, the only reason I'm gay is because I like men.
Okay.
I don't get it, y'all. I'm confused.
All right.
I don't get it. I don't get this community at all. These people who are trans, I'm literally saying the word, they're trans. They're transitioning from one sex to another. Male, female, there's only two options. No matter how much surgery, how much they assimilate, at the end of the day, their sex will always be their sex. You can't.
Well, listen, it's a little more, of course, like their, what is it called? Like their chromosomes aren't going to change, but like they'll change, like their, what is it called? Their secondary sex characteristics will change. You know what I mean? Listen, if I'm going to bring it, listen, okay? All I'm saying, I'm going to bring it up again, okay? I should put this in the corner of the screen almost. Like, my dude, you know what I mean? Like, this is on IMDb. Holy moly. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, if I saw this, like, I'm telling you, there's more guys attracted to this person than straight guys than straight girls. I'm just saying, like, this is a girl. Okay, like it becomes very simple when you get a visual. I'm a visual man. You know what I'm saying? Like it's obviously not. It's a little like let's say even to retract some of the joking. I brought up Buck Angel before, and I was like, oh, is that like let's make it even more like a little more personal. Would you feel as a woman more comfortable with this person in the bathroom or this person in the bathroom? To make it more like, honestly, like that's the whole point of like separating bathrooms by like, gender, which is really gender by identity. But like, yeah, of course, I wouldn't really, like, if I had a daughter, I wouldn't want this person in the bathroom with my daughter. I'm sure they're a lovely person, but, like, I don't want any man in the bathroom with my daughter. You know? That's what I'm talking about. You know, like, if we look, sometimes we just gotta look. You know, touch. Let me touch some stuff. I'm just kidding. Weird. I'm just saying, that's part of it's just, when you look at it like that, you're like, you know what, that makes sense. Maybe things are a little more complicated than we think, right? Get it?
Can't tell me that someone with a whole vagina and uterus is a
Whole
man
vagina.
just because they're saying they're a man and that's what they want to identify as.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I don't give a
That's
shit.
not how this works. That's not real. This is not real life. I don't understand why this is seen as hateful, but there will never be a situation where a trans man is a man. A trans woman is a woman.
Sure.
They are a trans woman. They are a trans man.
Okay.
And they should be recognized as that.
Yeah.
My next concern.
As men, like, it's just not like, you know what I mean? Like, they are men. It's a category. It's just a category. They're men. They're generally different for sure, but they're still men. It's not that big of a fucking deal. Like, I'm okay. We got other fish to fry when it comes to issues with men. People identify as men. I'm more of a concern with the men that are laughing at women who get sexually assaulted and blaming them for getting it assaulted, saying, "Oh, you should have chose better men." That's a bigger issue, I think, than a fucking trans person that's just trying to live their authentic self. Just saying. Just slaying.
Regarding the LGBTQ community,
Yeah.
is Pride Month.
It's not just about
Right.
gay, it's about sexual gay. Everyone on the floats, if you've been watching, they've been all sexual and shimming and everything and naked sailors and whatnot.
Naked
so I think it's more about
sailors.
this sexualized culture, and it's almost kind of sexualizing young children. That's my
It's not really sexualizing young children, but there are inappropriate things that happen. Like, I don't think that there should be people with fucking dog suits walking around the Pride, right? I have a disagreement with that, but that's not reflective of the entire LGBTQ community, right? So
take on it. I think it's a little too much. And why not celebrate gay without celebrating sexuality? There's people with their butt cheeks hanging out. I think it's a little
Yeah.
inappropriate to bring your kids here, but they're all
yeah,
about
I
it.
agree.
I don't think we need an entire month to celebrate who we have sex with. And if anything, this Pride Month has turned into a huge...
That's not what it is. Like, you have to understand, like, even if you disagree with Pride Month, that's fine. That it's not just about who you're having sex with. And the problem is that when you start the video off saying, like, oh, I respect gay people that are, and I know this guy's gay, but when I respect people that are fighting for their rights, but, like, you know, I think it goes too far. Okay, but then when you say Gay Pride Month's just about being, like, just a sexuality, you know, you have to know you're wrong, and, like, that's dishonest. It's about the historical struggle of being gay. Now, again, there are inappropriate aspects to this, and I agree with that, right? Good conversation to have. But my intention of it's like, I just think it's inappropriate. But it seems like maybe it's, if you're going to downplay the struggles gay people have gone through, which is what you're doing by saying it's just to celebrate, that's which is not. It's supposed to celebrate, like, the profound struggle. It's a concept of history repeats itself. And so we keep it in our minds, fresh in our brains, so that we don't repeat ourselves. We don't become homophobic again, because it's bad. Hot take, right? When you downplay that, it makes me question your intentions of making this video. It makes me question your intention. Like, are you making this because it's genuine, or are you, like, engaging in a little bit of that pick me energy? You know, that's just where I come from, man. So,
marketing month, because if these companies really stood for what they're saying and they really felt like gay lives matter and they felt the pride, maybe they would represent it in the countries where it matters most, the countries where gay people are killed.
sure,
Maybe that'd be a thing. But
I agree with that.
In
Sure.
America, everything's rainbow. In the Middle East, everything's black and white.
Sure.
Why is that?
Yeah,
Why aren't you
I get
making
it.
changes and initiatives in the countries that matter most? Why are you just using gay people for clout? All in
Sure,
all,
I agree with
when it
that.
comes to the pride parades, it's just so unfortunate to see what could be a very cool event. But no, it's a who wears the least parade.
Well, I did like what I saw there, but that's still inappropriate.
Not to mention the amount of kids that are attending, which I find to be abhorrent. Like, that's just wild to me.
Well, the kids being around the gross stuff, that is a problem. But it seems like sometimes it's not really the kid, like the parents will be like, oh, I want to bring my kid to Pride. And then they'll see, like, a big boobie, and it's like, that's not what I wanted my kid to see. And you kind of just stuck seeing it. And I think that's the bigger problem. I don't think it's, like, inappropriate. I don't think anybody's actively bringing their kid there to see a guy in a dog costume. It's like, shield your eyes, Timmy. Okay. You know what I mean? So
When you have people dressed completely wild and there's kids around, who allowed this? I don't think it's acceptable for a little 6-year-old to go to Pride Parade and see all these drag queens and see people in Speedos and nipple tassels. Like, for what?
yeah, no, just be really clear. Like, I don't care if my kid ever sees drag queens. I just don't want them to see a sexualized drag queen. That's a bigger issue more than anything else. But, like, yeah, nipple tassel, that seems inappropriate. You know what I mean? But I'm sure my kid will like it. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, 13, I was looking at like Girls Gone Wild shit. You know what I mean? It's crazy. That shit was crazy. Just the commercial. I was just trying to see what was going on here. You know what I mean? Like, what is this? It's fucking nuts. What crazy.
Hey, what are we celebrating anymore? What is this? What is this? I genuinely just do not.
You feel like a water park exposes kids to worse things than Pride? I don't know if I agree, but that's an interesting point. That's an interesting point. You know? Huh. It's just interesting. I don't know if I agree with that. But that's, I mean, there's some wild ass bathing suits, man. Some of these girls are hanging their whole fucking titties out and shit. I remember being a young man, and you walking around with a little boner, walking around like beep, 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 beep. It wasn't small though. Stop. It got bigger as I got older. Stop. That's an interesting point though, because I mean, like nipple tassels pale in comparison to some of these goddamn bathing suits. It's an interesting concept. It's new to me. I gotta think about it for a little while, but interesting.
Not get it. My next concern is the over-sexualization and involvement of children.
Happy Pride, everybody!
Happy Pride!
Who here knows what gay pride means?
It means where like all the gay people, transgender, lesbian, bisexual people gather up and celebrate.
That's absolutely right. It's a celebration of sexual diversity. I mean, everybody should aspire to grow up and be a gay icon.
That's what Pride
Well,
is
that's a
all
little
about.
weird,
You're
I
right.
guess, but
See you at Pride, everybody!
Why can't we just leave the kids out of this?
I personally don't give a shit about that, other than you doing an overlay of a girl twerking on there, which obviously wasn't in the show, and the weird comment, I guess, about everybody should be gay icon, which really is a joke. Who cares? If somebody consented to have their kid go to a conversation about like what is gay pride, I don't care. As long as they say gay pride is just about what they said, honoring and respecting people, basically is what they said. Who cares? Like, who gives a shit about that? Why do we need to leave the kids out of it? Like, how you'd have to be a very immature person to not like what's going to happen. Don't tell your kids gay people. Why? So that they'll get confused when my kid's gonna have a gay teacher. There's a high chance. We got like fucking 9 classes a semester, 12 years of school. They're gonna see a gay teacher. Okay, I'm gonna tell my kid what a gay person is. They're not gonna explode. They're not gonna be my kid explodes. Then I'm like, damn. If that does happen, I'm gonna be on board with you. But they'll be okay knowing what a gay person is. Like, hey, what's a gay person? Oh, it's like when 2 men or 2 girls or 2 thems love each other, right? Who cares? They don't give a shit. My kid will be okay. My kid will be fine. They're not going to explode. And if they become gay, they were gay already. Nobody's becoming gay because they realize gay people exist, okay? We have plenty of straight people that exist.
They are too young to be thinking about anything sex, and I mean
it's not
this.
it's not sex. That's not what it is. Just because it's labeled as sex, like sexual orientation, that like being gay is about love. Like that's it. Okay, if this was the logic, then we have to completely erase all straight people in every capacity, because that's a sexualization as well, or a sexuality as well. Being straight's a sexuality. We understand this, right? We introduce straight people to kids all the time. That's fine. Introduce gay people. Should we let kids watch gay guys fuck? No, of course. I don't think so. Hot take. But it's just like, hey, gay people, they love each other just like straight people. Oh, okay. That's the whole conversation to a 6-year-old if they asked. It's not that deep. It's not that deep, man. You're making it too deep. You're being silly. It's like you don't understand how to separate the word like actual sex from sexuality are 2 different things. Like being gay is not about sex. It's just about loving people that are different than the normal. It's not a big deal.
For both straight and gays. I mean this across the board. Why are kids at Hooters? Why are kids
True,
at pride parades?
I agree
Why
with
are
that.
there child pageant shows?
I agree
Why
with
are we
all
going
this.
up to
Well,
2-year-olds
actually, I don't agree with all of it. Okay, why are kids at like sexualized drag events? I agree with that. Pride is not inherently sexual. It's not supposed to be. Okay, I disagree with that issue, but that doesn't mean that kids shouldn't be at Pride. Okay, fundamentally, kids learning about LGBTQ is not the same thing. It's not the same thing as a fucking Hooters where you're seeing big old titties everywhere, or small titties. I love all titties, but so no offense to those girls, but you get my point. It's different. Sexual, like I don't care if a kid sees a person in drag either, as long as it's not a super sexual thing. Who cares?
of full glam makeup and bikini. All of it's weird.
Sure, I agree.
When it comes to sexuality, leave these kids alone. This extends to even kids shows.
What do you mean?
Trans members of this family all love each other so proud, and they all go marching in.
I mean, I just think this is silly. I just think it's dumb. like that. Like I don't see this as like a predatory action. I just look at this and I'd be like, I'd probably turn the TV off because I just think it's kind of cringe. Like I don't think that like my kid needs to see a weird. That is just weird to me. I'm like, you want to show your kid? I don't care. I don't think you're a bad person. I'm just like, what the fuck is this? You know.
All of this LGBTQ marketing towards children just needs to stop. What
Marketing
are you doing
to
on Blue's
children.
Clues? Why is there dolphins with cut marks as if the dolphins transition?
Where?
Why are there pansexual beavers?
What? Where's that?
What needs to
Where are the dolphins with cut marks? What?
All love each other so proudly, and they all go marching in.
Where are the dolphins with cut marks? Did I miss something? Wait, what? Wait, hold on. I gotta see. I'm very confused. I'm gonna pull this up on the screen. Let's see what we got here. We got alligators. We got otters. We got dolphins. Where are the cut marks? What are you referring to? Is this what you're? What are you? Is that a? I don't think it's a cut mark. I don't really know what that is. It just looks like some colors. Is that supposed to be a cut mark? I don't even think those are nipples. I think that that's just lines. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but what are you talking about? Cut marks on dolphins? These babies are non-binary. Okay, that's a little weird. Babies can't be. Oh, babas. What the fuck is a baba? I mean, you can't be like I don't know, a 3-year-old whatever. That I could agree would be bizarre. Like your kid, you know, if your kid's born a boy, you should just tell them they're a boy. And if they're like, hey, I'm not, for a long period of time, then there's a conversation out. Get that. But you know, I think that you should. It's okay to teach your kid that if they're born a boy, that they're a boy. If they're born a girl, they're a girl, and then allow room for them to explore themselves. That's different from saying like you're not a boy. You know, that'll confuse the kid, right? But okay.
to stop. What are you doing on Blue's Clues? Why is there dolphins with cut marks as if the dolphins transition?
I don't think that's
Why are there
true.
pansexual beavers? Like what? I don't even.
Pansexual does not exist, by the way, guys. Sorry, but I'm only. What is pansexual? Oh, I'm only oh wait, no, sorry. I'm thinking of demisexual. Never mind. What is pansexual? It just means that you attracted to pants. No, it's just basically like bisexual plus, right? It's like, you know, it's just like the DLC pack for bisexuals, right?
If I'm even talking about this, how is this real life? How is the thing that exists? How is the thing that we're watching that someone actually sat down and created? How and why? We're children. Leave sex out of it. Full stop.
It's not sex, but okay. You keep doing this very dishonest thing. It's not sexual sex.
Leave them out. Leave them out.
Sexuality isn't sex, but okay.
I don't know why I gotta keep saying it. Leave them out of it. My next concern, why are drag queens so hell-bent on performing in front of children?
This clip that he's showing here, I know what he's referring to, so I have the context for this, and I disagree with it, but I get it, but I don't. Okay, this is what this is, okay? This show is for parents, mostly moms, to take their kids with them to a drag show so they don't have to pay for daycare while the dads are at work. That's the concept. The concept is like, hey, it can be hard to go out and have a fun time with your friends. So we have like an afternoon drag show for the parents, and then you could take your kids, and like it's basically like a babysitting kind of a thing. Now, I think it's inappropriate for kids to be around this, but there's nothing like predatory happening here. It's just like, hey guys, maybe we shouldn't be doing this, but I get it from the mom's perspective because she can't, because she's staying home all day and she needs like a break, right? That's what this is, you know. So again, like I think we all agree maybe that's a little inappropriate, but let's not assign like predatory intentionality to stuff like this. You know, most people are just trying to do the right thing. It's inappropriate though. Oh my god!
I'm dumbfounded at the link between that people try to make between a drag queen and a kid. Why do drag queens feel the need to read to children? Why are you teaching them how to twerk?
Well, that part, the first part, I don't care about. I don't care. A drag queen that's not dressed up in a sexualized way. Read to kids, I don't care. Like it's just like it's just like a clown, right? Like no disrespect. You know, you do you. I respect the craft, okay? But it's not like as long as you don't have your boobs out or whatever, I don't care. It's just like whatever. It's just gay people living their authentic self. They're like, this makes me happy. I'm gonna read for kids. My kid's not gonna turn into a drag person. Or you know what? I'm just not gonna take my kid there. You know, if I don't find it to be comfortable. It doesn't have to be like a huge thing. Now, the other stuff, that's not good. What was the second thing he said? That I was like, oh yeah, twerking. Yeah, you shouldn't teach kids twerking, but
You crouch down into this sort of position here, so your bum's sticking out. Hope you're taking this all in. And then you just move your bum up and down like that. And
that's not actually twerking. That person doesn't even know how to twerk. The person's lying. I would get my money back. You don't even know how really twerking is, but okay.
that's twerking.
Why are you having children?
It's not even twerking. That's just like moving your butt. Don't make me twerk for you guys. Don't make me do it.
Perform.
I agree.
Genuine question.
I agree, but what is that drag or was that just a kid dancing? Oh, yeah, there is a drag person there. That, like, not for nothing though, but that's like what he said before. Like, that's just like beauty pageants nowadays and shit too. Will do that, and I appreciate this person bringing that up because it is a big problem. But honestly, beauty pageants are an exponentially bigger problem than drag shows. Let's just be absolutely real, and it's frustrating. Generally speaking, this person isn't engaging this problem, but generally speaking, that they will call out these drag shows that sexualize kids or like have kids dance like that, which I get, but they won't call out the beauty pageants that, like, you know, are just disgusting. Teaching like a 4-year-old to get sexy for fucking judges. I mean, so like, you know, everybody else, keep the same energy. You know, keep that same energy. That's should be part of it.
Genuine question, why? I do not get it. I do not condone it. I think it just all needs to be gone. And again, leave the children alone. See, gay relations in America, I feel like was pretty much fine. It was dead, not really much happening. Then the kids came in the picture.
What?
And that's when everything started changing, going to an uproar. Right?
No, that's not true.
Happening. See, gay relations in America, I feel like was pretty much fine. It was
No, they weren't. They were getting better, of course. Not pretty much fine. Still pretty regressive. I think that's a very entitled perspective of you to think that like gay people one of the real issues that he touched upon before, and this which doesn't align with what he's saying now, is before he talked about how combining gay and trans, there was an aspect of us, like we kind of stopped caring about gay people socially when trans people came along, because that's like a different struggle, and it, you know, and I understand it, but it was almost like there was an erasure of some of the conversation about gay people. We were like, oh, gays are fine, let's move on to trans people, instead of tackling both issues at the same time. This isn't like a fault of trans people. Now you're like, things are pretty much fine with gay people. They weren't. They weren't fine with gay people. They're getting better, of course. But there's still bigotry going on. Social issues, 100%, 1,000%, still happening. There's still gay people that are too afraid to come out because they lived in very, especially conservative homes that didn't allow them to come out and be their authentic selves. So, like, this is one of the problems. We're like, well, we were pretty much there on gays. We weren't. Not even a year ago, the conservatives were talking about getting rid of gay marriage in like conservative states. We weren't there. That's a fundamental attempt at restricting the constitutional rights of gay people, right? Like, that's a big deal. It's a very big deal. All right. So, like, we were not fine. And you saying that makes me feel like either you're being dishonest or you've never really struggled based on that identity of being gay. So you don't seem to understand. So things were getting better, but
much happening. Then the
there
kids
was
came
plenty.
in the picture. And that's when everything started changing, going to an uproar, rightfully so. I don't understand why the drag queens feel the need to be around children. This idea that it should be accepted for drag queens to frolic and dance and read in front of toddlers.
I don't care about the reading.
I don't know why it needs to exist. I don't know why it's ever became a thing, but it shouldn't exist. Next concern, kids transitioning.
Okay.
If you're a boy or a girl?
Okay. Phoenix would like you to know that she's a girl and she prefers she and her pronouns.
I've done too much in this world. It's ruining my life.
These children have no idea what's going on.
I
Kids
don't
can't
know.
smoke, drink, drive, vote. A kid can't even get a tattoo because it's permanent on their body. But all of a sudden, we're okay with them making permanent decisions, life-changing.
So listen, I don't know what show that was. That seemed like the parents were like, I don't know, almost telling their kids they were trans, right? The reality is trans kids exist because trans adults exist, and like every trans adult will say, even Blair White, that they knew they were trans when they were a kid. I don't think that you should make any really big decisions. I'm very uncomfortable with the concept of transitioning, but for a kid. But I always talk about this, like, what if it was my kid? And I think that the right way to do it is like, let's say your kid's like 4 and they're born a boy, and they're like, I'm a girl, and I'd be like, probably not. And if time went on, they were like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. They're like, I'm a girl. I would be like, okay, maybe we need to see a counselor, and we can help get a diagnosis and figure out what's going on. Maybe you really are. No, of course I don't want my kid to be trans because I don't want my kid to struggle. I don't want my kid to have any struggle. But like, you know, that is a real thing that exists, and we should deal with it the correct way. I'm uncomfortable with surgeries. I'm uncomfortable with hormones. I'm even uncomfortable with puberty blockers. But at the end of the day, we do have a robust structure of people having these conversations, doctors, medical professionals, mental health professionals that are dealing with this issue. And I think it's good to trust them to an extent. I would get a second and third opinion, of course. But that's the primary thing. I don't think you should be able to get any like surgeries until you're 18 plus, but socially transitioning, whatever, maybe puberty blockers. I get it. Makes me uncomfortable. I hope I don't have to deal with this in a personal way, but that's where I come from, right? I don't think that's unreasonable.
Decisions because of the way they're feeling. Have we forgot that they're children? Why is it seen as okay to put kids on puberty blockers? Why is it seen as okay to give children mastectomies?
My name is Chloe Cole, and I'm an 18-year-old deep
Are
transitioner
they?
from the Central Valley of California. I started socially transitioning and identifying as transgender when I was 12 years old, and I was fast-tracked onto medicalization at 13, starting with puberty blockers and testosterone.
Okay.
Before I went on to get a mastectomy at 15, and
Wow.
I stopped transitioning at 16 when I really
Yeah, I don't think you should be able to get a mastectomy at 15. That's crazy. I agree with that. You know, I think it's good to acknowledge these transitioners, but I also think that we need to make sure that we talk about them in a way that's not transphobic or dismissive of trans people's real issues, and more of just like having the right conversation about what's going on. But yeah, that's terrible. Like, I don't think you should be doing that. You know, being young is a very confusing time, which is why I don't think that you should really be doing something that permanent until like you're out of high school. It's not just about turning 18. There's something about like how weird and like toxic high school or middle school is. That I think, you know, can make your decisions, maybe make you make the wrong decisions, is what I'm trying to say. You know, it's a very confusing time. So I understand giving it a little time to, you know, go through that. That's what I'm talking about. Like, wait till they're 18 and they're like out of high school so that they don't have like, you know, they're not, you know, because that can be very confusing. I have a detransitioner friend, and she's like, yeah, like I started transitioning young, and like I thought I had gender dysphoria because I was depressed and I had anxiety, which are like I think they are called what is it, comorbidities? Is that what it's called? It turned out that I wasn't, and my doctor was too affirming. Okay, I get that. Just by the way, sending gender affirming care doesn't mean that your doctor is over affirming. I'm just saying it's just care to help you. But anyway, so I get that. We should have these conversations. Like, that's the right conversation to have, because we don't want to misdiagnose people. That's fucking crazy. Like, we would want to do that. And the problem is that like progressives aren't really talking to detransitioners, and conservatives are only talking about detransitioners in a way to invalidate the entirety of the trans community. And so we're not talking about it in the correct way of like, okay, what is right? Not like what makes us feel right. What is actually right? What's the objective truth here? Let's have that conversation more than anything else.
realized that I had regretted my transition and that it was starting to cause me emotional and also physical harm.
This community is saying, love yourself as who you are. Be
Okay.
yourself.
Sure.
But then we're also telling them, in order to be yourself, you have to modify your body so that you feel comfortable. Okay, but what happened is being comfortable in my skin? What happened is owning who I am as a person? If I'm a flame,
you should be as comfortable as you can without modifying your body, but sometimes things go too far. I mean, like, would we keep the same energy for a bodybuilder who's on testosterone or an athlete on testosterone? You know, or would we keep the same thing for women who want breast implants or breast reduction? Or, you know, probably not. It's probably going to be very specific when it comes to trans people, of like, you know, so I think it's a little different. You know, I get what you're saying. You should love yourself as much as you can, but there's nothing wrong with making some changes if you need to. You should just try not to make the changes if you don't need to, right? So,
flamboyant man, I'm a flamboyant man. Why all of a sudden, if I'm a flamboyant man and there's a flamboyant boy, he has to go get breasts. He has to chop off body parts. Like, what happened to just accepting each other and accepting our lives as we are? What happened to that? Seems a bit hypocritical.
yeah, conservatives.
You got people yelling, be yourself, and then you got other people saying, in order to be yourself, you have to have surgery. What are we doing here? Especially
Well, I don't think those people are telling them you have to do that. It's just saying, hey, if you feel like you need to do this, then here's your opportunity to do it. It's not that you have to do that. Like, the general progressive idea is like, you know, you live your authentic self, man. Like, do what you got to do to be happy. You know, that's it.
involving children.
At
That
least
brings me
when it comes
right
to
into the
that.
next concern is the LGBTQ community not highlighting and talking about people who are detransitioning. And
Yeah, like I said before, they should. But but conservatives make the same criticism of conservatives. Will only talk about detransitioners in a way to invalidate all trans people. My wife is where they're at the funeral thing. I just want to tell her I'm happy she's safe. I told her to have fun. Told her to bring an alarm clock to wake her up. Sorry. The person is, they're out awake. But I know. Okay, let's move on.
Talking about the harms and the risk that come with transitioning.
Well, I learned my lesson, but my breasts are never coming back.
Damn.
And it's like, it's a much more profound loss.
Hey, I'll give you mine. You know what I mean? I don't need them. I don't need them. I don't need them. You know what I mean? I don't need them. So.
Than I have ever, like, it's a worse mistake than I've ever made in my life ever before. I absolutely felt like my life was ruined.
No one's talking about that. No one's talking about how you have to have a chunk of your forearm taken out to create other body parts. No one's talking about a lifelong prescription.
Well, I'm sure that if somebody has to get that surgery, I don't know what surgery that is, that they'll realize that the doctor is going to ask them, like, hey, you know, we have to take a chunk of your forearm to give you whatever. And they'll go, oh shit. I don't think it's going to be like you woke up, it's like, where's my forearm? It's not there. We used it to make a ball sack. I don't know what the fuck they do with it. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying, I think that's a factor to know. But for sure, we should talk about these fundamentally. So
to pills. No one's talking about all the health effects that happen on later on life as you grow up.
Good.
I've had 7 surgeries. I've had 1 stress heart attack. I've had a helicopter life ride with pulmonary embolism. I've had 17 rounds of antibiotics. I had 6 inches of hair on the inside of my urethra for 17 months.
Whoa.
Nobody would help me, including the doctor that did this to me because I lost my insurance. I get infections.
So I just want to say something. Let's replay that really quick.
Nobody would help me, including the doctor that did this to me because I lost my insurance.
Just really quick. Hold on.
For 17 months. Nobody would help me, including the doctor that did this to me because I lost my insurance. For 17 months. Nobody would help me, including the doctor that did this to me because I lost my insurance. Lost my insurance. I get infections. Nobody would help me, including the doctor that did this to me because I lost my insurance. I get infections every doctor that did this to me because I lost my insurance.
I don't know if you guys noticed this thing I kept replaying 15 times. Imagine this person had insurance. Imagine we focus on the healthcare problem that we have in the United States. I know it's not easy. Of course, there's always negatives. Like Canada has higher waiting times. Also have better qualities of life. Don't you think that maybe the bigger issue is that people don't have access to healthcare? There's a common transphobic thing going around where they'll say that, look at how much more money that they're making off transitioning and trans surgeries. Okay, if you have a concern that you think that that they're pushing transness onto people for money, what if we removed a large portion of the financial incentive? Not all of it. I'm a capitalist. But I don't think that when you go to the emergency room, that a Tylenol should cost $30. I don't think that a thing of insulin should cost you $400. These are fucking hot takes. I'm literally on fire right now. Holy shit. I don't think that we should have a healthcare system that lets you advertise Ozempic on the television so that people who are already skinny that just want to lose weight can go on a medication that's for diabetics that need it. I know these are like literal lava hot, boiling, bubbling, literally like Domino's lava cakes hot. But maybe we have a supreme issue with that. Maybe that we should work on that. Maybe we should create an option, a healthcare option that everybody can have that covers bare minimum stuff, right? And then if you want to buy into more, if you have more money, then you get that better insurance. It's a good start. But you realize some of these problems are fundamental problems with our healthcare system, right? Hot take. Maybe we should talk about that a little bit more. I'm just saying. And conservatives aren't really coming to the table with this. They're not saying like, hey, we shouldn't have universal healthcare, but let's figure out this insulin problem. They're just saying no to everything. Democrats aren't much better, but conservatives aren't giving us anything. So what the fuck, you know? What do they have to compete against? Fortunate, but it's a reality. Just saying.
I get infections every 3 to 4 months. I'm probably not going to live very long.
No one's talking about all that.
It sounds like they're transphobic conservatives seem to be. And the problem is that like the reason that they're getting infections, why do you think it is? Do you think it's because of the surgery, or do you think it's because they can't afford the aftercare? You know? I'm just saying. Maybe they wouldn't be so there's a thing, like one of the reasons why people may detransition, which we should talk about, is because they don't have the access, not only the lack of emotional support, but the lack of financial support to maintain their transition. That's if not for everybody. I don't even know what percentage, but it's a factor. So like if you transition and you just don't have the medication, like the things that you might need, like just to not get infections, yeah, you're going to have a higher chance of regretting the surgery, you know, of course, for anything, right? You know, if you have any surgery, like let's say you have all your wisdom teeth and they're really hurting you and your mouth's bleeding, but like you get the care, but like you can't get an antibiotic afterwards that you needed because you had a complication, you're going to be like, I wish I never got the surgery in the first place. I never got all my teeth pulled. I got all four at the same time because I'm a fucking real man, but you get my point, right? Like, you know, you want less of these transitioners. Let's provide the right care. Overall, I'm not saying that's all people who get transition. Not every one of them. But I'm sure that there are some that just can't afford that. They don't have like emotional or financial support after they get the transition. Like, let's solve these problems, right?
No one's highlighting the people who have detransitioned and bringing up this topic. Claire White has done an amazing job at highlighting this. And you can YouTube it and you'll find a bunch of people who are sharing their story.
That's good.
Even they're shunned out of the community. What happened to uplifting their voices? What happened to just
Sure,
sharing
sure, I
information
agree with
with
this.
people? All of a sudden, by sharing the detransitioner story, you're being transphobic because you're denying someone from being trans. You're trying to persuade them out of being it. It's like, no. I'm giving them the full story.
No. Again, like I agree with the fundamentals, but they're like I would sign this to Blair White, but like Matt Walsh totally is just using detransitioner stories to say that no trans people should transition. Just understand that there are people who are transphobic that are doing it, but we should be more accepting to having that conversation with people. And by the way, if you're detransitioning, I can understand why you may be transphobic because you thought you were trans or maybe you were in some capacity and it just like treatment wasn't right for you and it made you like very hateful and frustrated. I get that, but like, you know, let's have the right conversation.
Full scoop. That brings me into my next and final concern. We've gone through a lot of concerns regarding the gay community. Is trans sports versus women's sports. Now, here's the deal. We talked about this in the beginning.
Probably just going to
about
agree
how
with
there's
this.
LGB and then there's a trans and how there's
LGB,
sex and biology and then there's
Sure.
expression. They're getting muddled now, especially in sports, because you have biological men saying that they're women and then competing against women.
Stop. I was like ready to 100% agree, but I can't agree with this. Because it's transphobic.
And winning.
I know you're probably like, how is it transphobic? Okay.
Saying that they're women,
Listen.
especially in sports, because you have biological men saying that they're women.
Okay. So what he's saying is that trans women are just saying, this is the problem. What this comes off as to me is either one, you're just not trans affirming in general, or two, you're just saying that there are men that are going around saying they're women just to win events. No trans person is identifying as trans just to win at sports. They're trying to live their authentic self. The reality, though, is that they have the unfair advantage, and we need to have that conversation, right? Because this is how it works. Like usually people who are successful in sports have been training in the sports their entire lives, right? For the most part. So like a really good football player has been doing it since they were young. This goes across the board. If you have somebody who goes through male puberty training, they're going to have an advantage, even if they transition afterwards. You know, that's just pretty much a permanent effect. And so you're going to still have, you're going to be bigger, you're going to have like a larger bone structure, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You're going to have an advantage. But these people aren't doing it just to win, right? They're doing it so that to live their authentic self. But we have to have the conversation, because even if, you know, let's say that like 1% of women are trans women, and only 1% of women competitors become trans women if we allow trans women in, they're all going to float to the top because they have an unfair advantage, right? So we have to have the conversation of like, hey, listen, I don't feel good about it. I wouldn't want to remove trans people because they're just trying to be themselves, but you're going to have an unfair advantage and you shouldn't be included into cisgender women's sports, right? We created sports for women because of like unfair advantages. They can't compete with men, cis men, right? It's unfortunate, but that's the reality. But like, don't say that they're just trans. They're just calling them. You're not just calling themselves that. That's a silly goosery, you know?
And then competing against women and winning. Obviously.
By the way, in the UFC case, like that, I don't care about, because apparently she could have just said no, she doesn't want to fight that trans woman. So, you know, I feel bad for her. I think she got her fucking skull cracked open or whatever, but that's a little different from other sports.
There's a spectrum, obviously. Not every female, not every trans man or trans female is super athletic and they can absolutely dominate and win, because there are female like MMA fighters who can jump me. Like,
well, yeah, of course.
I'm not saying that these anomalies don't exist. What I am saying is that the average male can overpower a woman. That's not being sexist. That's not being anti-feminist. That's just basic
No,
biology. That's why we have.
Funny enough, that is like an actual feminist talking point. Like, men are physically stronger than women, and like, you know, they're scary sometimes because they might do fucked up shit, which is true. I get it. Sometimes, not all men are like that. I'm just saying that enough of a problem, you know. So, sure.
2 different realms, 2 different sports, 2 different leagues, male and female, because typically the males will dominate the female. I do not think it should be socially acceptable for anyone to just say they're any gender and go out and win scholarships, win sports events.
I agree with everything, but the insinuation that they're just saying it for nobody's really doing that. No authentic trans person is doing that. I know that there was like that guy who like competed as like women's powerlifting just to prove a point. I get that, but that's not. They're not doing. There's no trans person just identifying just for like a free LOL win. All right, this isn't Joanna Man. You guys remember Joanna Man? Look it up.
Protect the people who are in the sports right now and accommodate the trans. I think a trans league would be awesome. I think a trans
nobody would watch, but
out the woo-ha. A trans football league, what? Like, come on now. Biological men be men, the biological women be women, and the trans people be trans in their own lane. I'm not saying they shouldn't be do sports. I'm just saying you need to have your own lane. Just don't like this idea that there are actual men competing against women and winning. And it's not transphobic to point it out. No one's being hateful. No one's being.
Sounds like a skill issue. And yes, some people are being hateful about it. Just to be clear, this guy's not, but there are people being hateful about it. Like, it's not all like lollipops and sunshine. It's like a broken clock is right twice a day. Like, the transphobes are just saying no to everything trans. They just happen to be right about sports. So I just want to be very clear.
Hateful by saying Leah Thomas should not be on a female swimming league.
I agree.
That's not something that's hateful. That's just I want to protect biological women. I understand the advantage that biological men have over biological women. It's not hateful. It's science. In conclusion,
there we go.
The defining factor of an individual, the defining factor of you, should not be your race, your religion, your sexuality, where you live, your favorite influencer, your favorite entertainer. It should be you.
It should be me, guys.
You are a perfect blend of all the things that you consume, love, and like. I don't understand why we need the need
I consume
of all these different labels,
I call it
all these different genders, all these different pronouns. Like, what happened to just being our personality? What happened?
That's a different conversation than just like the existence of trans people. Like, obviously, there's not 72 genders. I'd say there's 3, right? Male, female, and non-binary, whatever. Like, right? Like, but that's a different conversation. Even if you don't even agree with non-binary, there's plenty of trans people who are like, oh, non-binary just doesn't make sense, right? So it's interesting this person like brought up Blair White though. So they're obviously trans affirming to some capacity. Is it just like a fake? Like, you just pretend not to be, or what is it? I don't get it.
And as being Amir. Our name. We have a name for a reason. That's our label. I'm identified as Amir. Someone says Amir, I look.
Picklehead. That's what I call myself.
Amir is a combination of everything that I love, that I like, that my hobbies. That's Amir. The feminine traits, the masculine traits, all of it. That's who I am. I don't need all these labels and check marks to define who the hell I am.
Sorry.
And neither should you. We shouldn't be in this society, in this day and age where people feel the need to have all these different pronouns and different titles for their sexualities and how they're a little bit more feminine than masculine. And it's just it's like a look at me contest. This community has gotten completely derailed. I'm not being irrational here. There's genuine concerns. I don't understand a lot of what's going on. And I really just dislike the idea that because I'm gay, because I am engaged to a man, that automatically I subscribe to everything that they're doing. No. That's why this video is being made, because there's a lot of people out there who agree with me who just can't speak up. They can't say these things because they're going to get canceled and they have to pay the bills. They have to provide to their family.
Not for nothing, but like, conservatives have been, that's all they talk about. So it's not like nobody can say these things, but.
And I just wish we're at a point in society where we can actually sit down and have a conversation. So all in all, thank you for taking the time to watch or listen to this video. It means the world to me. If you were to share this, if it resonated with you, share it with other gay people, straight people. It doesn't matter. There's a lot of people I feel who need to hear this message. There's a lot of people out there who I really wish would just be themselves.
Okay.
That's one of the DMs I get a lot from other gay men is, a thank you for reminding me that I can just be myself. I don't have to subscribe to what this community is doing, how they're treating others, this role that I have to play. I'm glad that there are a lot more gay people out there waking up to the fact that they can just be themselves.
Okay.
They don't have to subscribe to the LGBTQ community. They don't have to be a part of the big old group or like the drag queens or everything that
Hey,
involves.
let me tell you something. You're missing out if you don't like to go to drag shows. I mean, I've never been to one, but I can't wait. I'm not going to take my kid there, of course. But it sounds like a lot of fun. Fucking gay drag people are fun. What are you talking about? You know, there's nothing wrong with that. I got nothing wrong with that part. You know. Oh, I got a barrier that negates damage. Oh, I'm fucking litty titty, baby. Let's do it.
And as always, I hope that you're taking the time to reflect on your life, reflect on your goals and dreams, and you're actively doing the things you need to do in order to become the best version of yourself. Much love, and I'll see you in the next video.
Okay, cool video.